Arnold Schwarzenegger, the man who conquered bodybuilding, Hollywood, and politics, a living legend who seemed unstoppable. But behind that iconic smile and those legendary one-liners, there were enemies, real enemies. What if I told you that Arnold's biggest rival once sabotaged his career out of pure jealousy? Or that he engaged in a decade-long feud with a CO star so bitter it nearly destroyed a blockbuster franchise? And the number one person on this list? Let's just say their hatred was so deep it changed the course of Hollywood history. I'm about to reveal the top 10 actors Arnold Schwarzenegger genuinely despised, and the shocking reasons why. Some of these stories have never been told publicly. Stick around, because number one will blow your mind. Arnold Schwarzenegger didn't become the highest-paid action star of the 80s and 90s by playing nice. He fought his way to the top, literally and figuratively. And in Hollywood, where egos clash and careers are made or broken overnight, Arnold made powerful friends. And even more powerful enemies. This isn't just gossip. These are real feuds, documented conflicts, and behind-the-scenes battles that shape some of the biggest films ever made. From professional jealousy to personal betrayals, these 10 names represent the people Arnold couldn't stand, and for good reason. Let's count them down. 10th, Richard Dawson. We start with a name that might surprise you, Richard Dawson, the British-American actor and game show host best known for Family Feud. But before he became America's favorite TV personality, Dawson starred alongside Arnold in the 1987 dystopian classic The Running Man. On paper, it should have been a dream collaboration. In reality, it was a nightmare. Dawson reportedly clashed with Arnold from day one. He thought Arnold was too inexperienced, too robotic in his acting, and, this is the kicker, didn't respect the craft. Dawson, a trained actor with decades of experience, allegedly made snide remarks on set, questioning why a bodybuilder was leading a major film. Arnold, never one to back down, fired back by reportedly ignoring Dawson's suggestions and improvising scenes to undermine him. The tension was so thick that crew members claimed you could feel it between takes. Years later, Arnold barely mentioned Dawson in interviews, a telling sign of just how little respect remained. But this was only the beginning. 9th, Frank Langella. Frank Langella is a legend, an Academy Award-nominated actor with gravitas to spare. So why did Arnold despise him? It all goes back to Conan the Barbarian in 1982. Langella, who played the villainous Thulsa Doom, reportedly treated Arnold like an amateur. Despite Arnold's physical dominance and star power, Langella saw him as just another bodybuilder trying to act. On set, Langella would allegedly deliver his lines with condescension, refusing to rehearse with Arnold and dismissing his input during key scenes. Director John Milius had to step in multiple times to keep the peace. Arnold later admitted in interviews that working with Langella was difficult, and that he felt disrespected. But here's the twist, Langella's performance was brilliant, and that aided Arnold. He knew Langella looked down on him, yet the man delivered. It was a grudging respect mixed with genuine resentment, a toxic combination that Arnold never forgot. 8th, Carl Weathers. Wait, Carl Weathers? The Apollo Creed himself? Yes. And this one's complicated. Arnold and Carl co-starred in Predator, 1987, one of the greatest action films of all time. On screen, their chemistry was electric. Off screen, not so much. The issue wasn't personal, it was professional. Weathers, a trained actor and former NFL player, felt he deserved more screen time and a bigger role. He believed Arnold's star power overshadowed everyone else, and he wasn't shy about voicing his frustration to the director. Arnold, hyper-competitive and protective of his position, didn't appreciate the challenge. Reports suggest the two had heated exchanges about who should lead certain scenes. Eventually, director John McTiernan had to mediate. Years later, both men downplayed the tension, but those who were there remember differently. Respect existed, sure, but also rivalry. And Arnold never forgets a rival. 7th, Jesse Ventura. Another Predator co-star makes the list. Jesse Ventura, Navy SEAL, professional wrestler, and future governor of Minnesota, was as alpha as they come. And when two alphas share a set, conflict is inevitable. Ventura and Arnold were both bodybuilders turned actors with massive egos. On the Predator set, they constantly tried to one-up each other. Who could lift more? Who had better lines? Who commanded more attention? It was a testosterone-fueled competition that got ugly fast. The breaking point? Ventura later claimed Arnold used political connections to undermine him during his gubernatorial campaign in Minnesota. Arnold, who became governor of California in 2003, allegedly refused to endorse Ventura and even made disparaging comments about his qualifications. Ventura never forgave him. In interviews, he's called Arnold a Hollywood phony and accused him of betraying their friendship. Arnold, true to form, has remained largely silent. but those close to him say the feeling was mutual. Sixth, Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy and Arnold Schwarzenegger, two of the biggest stars of the 80s. So why didn't they ever work together? Simple, Arnold couldn't stand him. The rumored reason? Professional jealousy. In the mid-80s, Eddie Murphy was the highest paid actor in Hollywood, commanding $15 million per film while Arnold was still climbing. Murphy's comedic genius and box office dominance threatened Arnold's reign as the king of action. But it went deeper. Murphy allegedly made jokes about Arnold's acting ability during a Saturday Night Live hosting gig, referring to him as the Austrian robot. Arnold, fiercely proud of his craft, was furious. They were offered a chance to co-star in an action comedy in the early 90s, a project that could have been legendary. Arnold reportedly turned it down, telling producers he didn't work with comedians who didn't take the job seriously. Murphy later laughed it off, but the damage was done. Two icons, one unspoken rivalry. Fifth, Dolph Lundgren. Dolph Lundgren, Arnold's protege, his friend, his enemy? Yes. And this betrayal cut deep. Arnold personally helped Dolph get his breakout role in Rocky IV 1985, introducing him to Sylvester Stallone. He mentored him, gave him career advice, and welcomed him into his inner circle. But when Dolph's star began to rise, landing leading roles in magazine covers, Arnold's attitude changed. Reports suggest Arnold felt threatened. Dolph was younger, taller, and had an actual master's degree in chemical engineering. He wasn't just a bodybuilder. He was intelligent, marketable, and European, just like Arnold. The final straw came when Dolph was offered roles Arnold had turned down, and some of those films did well. Arnold allegedly stopped returning Dolph's calls and cut him out of his social circle. Dolph later admitted in interviews that he felt abandoned, calling it one of the most painful professional experiences of his life. Arnold has never publicly addressed it, but the silence says everything. Fourth, Wesley Snipes. Wesley Snipes and Arnold Schwarzenegger nearly destroyed each other's careers, and most people have no idea. In the late 90s, both were offered the lead role in a high-budget sci-fi thriller. Arnold wanted it. Wesley wanted it. The studio was torn. According to insiders, Arnold used his industry clout to pressure the studio into choosing him, effectively blocking Wesley. Furious, Wesley allegedly confronted Arnold at an industry party, and things got heated. Witnesses say Arnold dismissed him with a cold line, "You're not ready for this level." Wesley never forgot. He later took shots at Arnold in interviews, calling him a relic and overrated. Arnold responded by refusing to work on any project Wesley was attached to. The hatred was real, and it lasted for years. Only recently have tensions cooled, but the scars remain. Third, Jean-Claude Van Damme. The muscles from Brussels versus the Austrian oak. This one was personal. Jean-Claude Van Damme burst onto the scene in the late 80s, and Hollywood immediately positioned him as Arnold's rival. But it wasn't just marketing. JCVD actively pursued it. Van Damme gave interviews calling Arnold stiff and claiming he could outperform him in both action and acting. He even challenged Arnold to a martial arts match. Publicly, Arnold, ever the strategist, ignored him at first. But when Van Damme's films began outperforming some of Arnold's at the box office, the gloves came off. Arnold reportedly lobbied to keep Van Damme out of major studio projects, using his relationships with producers and directors. He called him a gymnast, not an actor. Van Damme later admitted the rivalry consumed him, saying he let ego ruin potential friendships. Arnold, he moved on, because he had a bigger enemy to deal with. Second, Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis, Die Hard, a bona fide action legend, and Arnold's nemesis. In the 80s and 90s, Arnold and Bruce were locked in a silent war for action supremacy. Every box office weekend was a battle, every magazine cover a competition, but the real hatred stemmed from Bruce's attitude. Willis allegedly mocked Arnold's acting in private, calling his performances one-dimensional and his success undeserved. When word got back to Arnold, he was livid. The feud exploded during the production of Planet Hollywood, the celebrity restaurant chain both invested in. Creative differences, financial disagreements, and personal insults turned their partnership toxic. Arnold eventually distanced himself from the brand entirely. Bruce later softened, but Arnold never did. In his autobiography, he barely mentions Willis, a deliberate omission that speaks volumes. But even this pales in comparison to number one. First, Sylvester Stallone. The greatest rivalry in action movie history. Sylvester Stallone, Rocky, Rambo, the Italian stallion versus the Austrian oak. For over a decade, these two titans waged war, on-screen, off-screen, and everywhere in between. It started in the early 80s, Both were rising action stars, but Stallone had the edge. He was already a superstar with Rocky. Arnold was the challenger, hungry and relentless, and Stallone felt threatened. The competition became obsessive. They compared salaries, body counts in their films, box office numbers, even bicep sizes. Arnold later admitted he'd read Stallone's scripts just to make sure his next film was bigger. Stallone did the same. But the real animosity came from personal slights. Stallone reportedly bad-mouthed Arnold to directors, calling him a body, not an actor. Arnold fired back by stealing roles Stallone wanted, including Terminator, which Stallone had been offered first. The breaking point came at the 1977 Golden Globes. An argument backstage nearly turned physical. Both men had to be separated. For years, they avoided each other. But here's the twist. In 2010, they reconciled. They co-starred in The Expendables, buried the hatchet, and even became friends. Arnold later said the rivalry pushed him to be better. Stallone agreed. But make no mistake, for over a decade, they genuinely hated each other. And that hatred forged two legends. From Richard Dawson to Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger's career was defined not just by his victories, but by his enemies. These weren't petty squabbles. These were real, intense, career-defining conflicts that shaped Hollywood history. So here's my question for you. Do you think Arnold's ruthless competitiveness made him a better actor, or did it cost him relationships he should have valued? Drop your answer in the comments below. I want to hear your take. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Hollywood's most intense rivalries, smash that like button, subscribe for more untold stories, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Because trust me,